we'll start off with what hopefully in the not too distant future will become the main tool that is being used by our service users, and that's a virtual assistant that we are in the process of deploying as a pilot project, hopefully within the next couple of weeks in Wolverhampton and Coventry on our sites, the micro sites that we have for those two locations. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration. I'm going to share my screen. When you go onto our website, hopefully, Imara, can you see that properly?
I just see a blank screen at the moment. Oh, there we go. All good.
So in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, we've got this box that pops up. I think we're possibly going to change the name, but irrelevant for the moment. It says, "Hi."
Sorry, but if anyone's like me and they've got all the pictures now over that side of their screen, if you
Just
just
move them to the other side of the screen.
because the chat's in the bottom right.
So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up a chat bot, a virtual assistant. I'm here to help you find the right support and services. How can I assist you? The main point of this is to connect people to organizations. So if you click on advice and guidance, it'll point you towards the page on our website that has advice and guidance for your local area. And if you want to search for a specific organization, which is a function that people use within this context, you can do that here as well. But we're going to look at help connecting to support. It's asked me to share my location, so I'm going to allow my browser to share my location with it. I can do that right now because I'm actually based in Wolverhampton. If you don't share your location, it asks for a postcode, and then you could put a Wolverhampton or a Coventry postcode in. It asks if you're accessing the service for yourself or on behalf of somebody else, because there's quite a lot of the time it's not just people who are in need who access the service. It's community organizations, frontline workers, faith communities that are sat down with somebody who's presented as having a need and access it in order to be able to assist that individual in getting connected to the solutions that they're looking for. And that really, for us, creates hubs in local communities where people will present at an early opportunity with a sense of digital inclusion and connection. So I'm going to say I'm accessing the service on behalf of myself. It asks, what would you like me to call you? Because we're looking at keeping it private, it doesn't ask for your name. It just asks for a designation. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, I'd like to be called Donald Duck. It then asks whether you're in a crisis situation, because we just want to make sure that if people are accessing it and have some kind of immediate need that's dealt with, that has been covered off. So I'm not going to go into those. I'm going to put, no, I'm not in immediate danger for the time being, to use the tool for its main function. And it's going to ask me, what is it that I'm looking for today? So I'm looking for housing. Am I currently experiencing homelessness? I'm going to say yes. So it's going to ask me a series of questions. Where am I sleeping? So let's say I'm sleeping on the street. It's recommending that I can do a street link report to the local outreach team of the local authority if I want to do so. And if I was to click on street link, it would take me to that page where I can make that report. It's asking me how long I've been in the situation. So I'm just going to say it's been recent. What was the main reason? Let's say relationship breakdown. Where am I currently having access to any money? So let's say benefits. Have I used the service before? No. Am I currently receiving support? No. So we're assuming this is somebody that's kind of coming fresh to it. Am I an asylum seeker, refugee, or migrant? That's really important, because depending on the answer I give to this question, it will determine whether or not I likely have access to public funds, which has implications in terms of what services I can connect with. Again, we're just going to keep it simple for the purposes of the demonstration, so I'm going to say no. And then again, so GDPR, there was a question around it, around privacy. We don't collect or store anything within this context that can personally identify the individual at this present time. No personal identifiable information. We're not retaining anything about you that hasn't been completely anonymized before we might use it as data. But because we're asking questions about sexuality, about age, about a number of things that fall under special category data. We still have to obtain express consent. So do you consent to us asking a few sensitive questions in order to get you the help you need? We'll say yes. Going to ask me my age. I'm going to be generous and I'm going to put 25. Asks about gender. Again, this is just for identification of services, not specifically about various different categories of gender. Ethnicity, again, they're all questions that might determine that some services are available and others not. I know that in Wolverhampton, there's a accommodation provider that is specifically for the Afro-Caribbean community. Have I got any physical conditions? Have I got any mental health conditions? Am I pregnant or living with a person who is pregnant? Do I have dependent children? Now, you might be thinking that for somebody who is just kind of your bog standard, ordinary pathway, white British, sleeping on the streets, no special characteristics, this is a lot of questions. But the reality is that there are different pathways into housing and different organizations that you would interact with around your housing situation, depending on your answers to all of those questions. So the main point of those questions is to identify the most vulnerable people, which is often those with no recourse to public funds, those that are 16, 17 years old, those that have a conviction for arson, that identify with the LGBTQ plus community, for example, and make sure that those vulnerable individuals have tailored advice given to them as to who they might approach about their housing situation. We've got a mention here around previous convictions and access to a disclosure calculator so you can work out if your conviction is spent or not. Because if it isn't spent, you have to disclose it within a housing context. I'm going to say none just to keep it simple. And I don't identify with the LGBT plus community. And it's now checking relevant services locally. And it's brought me up a list of organisations in Wolverhampton that I can reach out to straight away to seek to get help for my emergency housing situation. And then at the end, it's going to ask me if I need help with anything else. And I can say yes, and then say, actually, I'd also like to find some food or various other options. So that's just a quick demonstration of the tool that we've built that is aimed specifically at connecting people to solutions within the context of the street support network and how we're helping people to get connected to solutions.
I just wanted to say, Matt, as well, really quickly on the virtual assistant, it is boasting a bit, but like as an organization, we are so proud of that, because one of the biggest barriers to people reaching out for help is shame and judgment. And the thing is, with AI, it doesn't do that. Like, it's not built in at all. You do not have to look someone in the eyes and say, I need help. And that is such a huge thing, particularly if you're British, because that's so inbuilt into our culture. You know, so having something that by design doesn't judge, we're really hoping it's going to make such a big difference to people who really do need to reach out and seek help, especially reaching out earlier than at crisis point.